Did you know the Eiffel Tower can be 15 centimeters taller during the summer due to thermal expansion? Yes, the iron in France's iconic structure expands when heated, giving it a little extra height in the sunnier months. Now let's turn our attention to the fruit bowl. You might think you know what a berry is, but botanically speaking, it's not as straightforward as you might think. Turns out, bananas are technically berries. Yes, you heard that correctly. Bananas, those elongated yellow fruits, meet all the botanical requirements to be classified as berries. On the contrary, strawberries, despite their name, don't make the cut. That's because in the botanical world, a berry is a fleshy fruit produced from a single ovary. Bananas fit the bill, but strawberries, with their seeds on the outside, do not. Moving from the fruit bowl to the pantry, let's talk about honey. This sweet, sticky substance is a marvel of nature. Not only is it delicious, but it also has an incredible shelf life. Honey never spoils. Archaeologists have discovered pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are over 3,000 years old and still perfectly edible. That's because when bees make honey, they create an acidic, low-moisture environment that's not very hospitable to bacteria and other microorganisms. And lastly, back to our beloved Eiffel Tower. This iconic structure is not just famous for its romantic allure or its panoramic view of Paris. It has a fascinating feature that's not commonly known. The Eiffel Tower is designed to sway slightly in the wind, but don't worry, it's perfectly safe. Its ingenious engineering allows it to move approximately 7 centimeters from its central axis. So next time you have a banana, remember, you're actually eating a berry. Or when you're spreading honey on your toast, consider its ancient, virtually immortal properties. And if you ever find yourself atop the Eiffel Tower on a breezy day, don't panic if you feel a slight sway. It's all part of the remarkable world we live in. Let's turn back the clock. Did you know the shortest war in history lasted just 38 minutes? It's true. The Anglo-Zanzibar War, which took place on August 27, 1896, holds this dubious honor. Britain and Zanzibar locked horns for a mere 38 minutes before Zanzibar surrendered, making it the shortest recorded war in human history. Now that's a conflict that barely had time to heat up. From war to the kitchen, our next stop is the world of ancient recipes. Have you ever wondered what the oldest known recipe might be? Well, it turns out our ancestors were quite the beer connoisseurs. The oldest known recipe, dating back to around 3,900 BCE, is for beer. That's right, the Sumerians in Mesopotamia were brewing their own beer over 5,000 years ago. They even revered it so much that they ascribed its creation to the gods. So next time you raise a pint, remember you're partaking in a tradition that's as old as civilization itself. But it's not just beer that has stood the test of time. Honey, one of nature's sweetest gifts, is known for its long-lasting properties. In fact, honey never spoils. To prove this point, archaeologists have found pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are over 3,000 years old and still perfectly edible. Imagine stumbling upon a sweet treat left behind by pharaohs. This is due to honey's low moisture content and acidic pH that create the perfect conditions to preserve it indefinitely. These extraordinary historical facts serve as a testament to the fascinating and diverse tapestry of our shared human experience. From the briefest of wars to the ancient art of beer brewing and the enduring sweetness of honey, history never ceases to amaze and enlighten us. And to think, the world's oldest recipe is for beer. Moving on to the animal kingdom, did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts? That's right, my friends. The octopus is not just a creature of the deep, but also a creature of many hearts. 2 of these hearts work exclusively to pump blood beyond the animal's gills, while the third keeps circulation flowing for the rest of the body. But here's a twist. When the octopus swims, the heart that delivers blood to the rest of the body actually stops beating, which is why these creatures prefer to crawl rather than swim, exhausting as it is. Now, let's move on to a more familiar creature, the humble cow. These docile animals are known for their milk production and peaceful demeanor. But did you know that cows actually have best friends? It's true. Cows form strong bonds with other cows in their herd, and they can become stressed if they are separated from their favorite companion. These emotional creatures are more like us than we might have thought. And speaking of stress, It seems flamingos know how to keep it at bay. Have you ever seen a group of flamingos, with their vibrant pink feathers and elegant one-legged stance? Well, besides being a feast for the eyes, such a gathering has a rather flamboyant name. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance of flamingos. It's as if they knew about their extravagant appeal and decided to name their collective accordingly. So we've journeyed from the depths of the ocean to the quiet pastures, and ended on a flamboyant note with the flamingos. These surprising facts remind us that the animal kingdom is as varied and fascinating as the creatures that inhabit it. From octopuses and their triple hearts to the cows and their best friends, and finally the flamboyance of flamingos, we're constantly learning more about the wild and wonderful world of animals. So, a group of flamingos isn't just visually stunning, it's also called a flamboyance. Now, let's venture out into space. Did you know a day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus? That's right, because of its extremely slow rotation, Venus takes longer to spin around its axis than to orbit the Sun. Imagine waiting over 224 Earth days for the Sun to rise and set. Speaking of extremes, let's talk about Earth's own records. The deepest known point on our planet is the Mariana Trench. This underwater canyon plunges down to over 36,000 feet. That's almost 7 miles deep. It's so deep, in fact, that if you were to put Mount Everest at the bottom, its peak would still be submerged by over a mile of water. While we're on the topic of Earth's extremes, let's consider temperature. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was a bone-chilling negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's negative 89.2 degrees Celsius for our metric friends. This temperature was recorded at Antarctica's Vostok Station, a remote Russian research facility in the heart of the continent. At temperatures that low, exposed skin can freeze in less than a minute. But Earth's extremes aren't just confined to our planet. They reach out into space as well. Astronauts can grow up to 2 inches taller in space due to the absence of gravity. The spinal discs, freed from the downward pressure of gravity, can expand and make the astronauts taller. However, this change is temporary, and they return to their normal height once they come back to Earth. And finally, let's circle back to Venus. Despite its extreme heat and crushing atmospheric pressure, one of the most mind-boggling facts about Venus is its day-night cycle. Due to its slow rotation, a day on Venus, that is one complete rotation on its axis, lasts 243 Earth days. However, its year, its orbit around the Sun, takes only about 225 Earth days. So on Venus, a day is longer than a year. Isn't it fascinating that a day on Venus lasts longer than a year? Space and Earth indeed hold some truly mind-blowing facts. For the linguists and gamers out there, did you know the word uncopyrightable is the longest English word that can be written without repeating any letters? That's 15 unique letters, all lined up in harmonious, non-repetitive symmetry. It's a word lover's dream, the perfect demonstration of the flexibility and complexity of the English language. Speaking of complexity, let's talk about games. Not just any games, but the game of kings. Chess. The game is deceptively simple, with only 6 different types of pieces and a board of 64 squares. Yet the number of possible games is mind-boggling. In fact, there are more potential iterations of a game of chess than there are atoms in the observable universe. That's right, more than the estimated 10 to the 80th power atoms that make up everything we can see. From the computer or phone you're using right now, to the farthest galaxies detected by our telescopes. And speaking of computers, let's rewind to the year 1947, when the first computer bug was discovered. But this wasn't a software glitch or a failing piece of hardware. No, this was a literal bug, a moth to be precise, that had found its way into a relay of the Mark II computer at Harvard University. It was carefully removed with tweezers by the operators. This event was so iconic that it cemented the term bug in the tech world to represent a fault or glitch in a system. So there you have it. There are more possible iterations of a game of chess than there are atoms in the observable universe. From the intricacies of language to the vast possibilities of a chess game and the unexpected origins of the term computer bug, our world is filled with fascinating facts just waiting to be discovered.